What is going on, everybody? Mock389 here with another video. This is going to be a special video on my RS4 custom chassis. Customize the top, polished it chrome. Sorry for the fingerprints. This thing is a fingerprint magnet. But on the bottom side, I put some rock guard to help protect from the rocks and all the scrapes and things like that. The screw holes are still countersunk, so we don't have to worry about screws being popped out or poking out or anything like that. So we're gonna start on the rear end of the vehicle, and then we're gonna put this away for now, and then I'm gonna get into the box. I got a bunch of parts here, and if I need extra parts, I got another parts vehicle to the side that we're gonna use for now. I have the manual pulled up on the computer. We're gonna go by this step by step. I'm gonna try to go over as many parts as I can for you guys, just in case if anyone's trying to just put a RS4 back together in general. And we're just going to take this step by step and see how it goes. So hopefully you guys stick around and you guys really enjoy this one. This is going to be a tedious one. My first time actually putting this vehicle together. I took the vehicle apart just to customize this chassis to see how it came out. And if I messed it up, I just had a bunch of spare parts for another vehicle. But the chassis came out pretty neat. So I'm thinking of putting it back together. Well, not thinking. We are going to put it back together in this video. So let's get this going. All right, so before we actually get started, I got myself a little makeshift stand. It isn't the best, so if you see any bouncing around, especially in the beginning of a clip, it's due to me starting the actual video and maybe even bumping the setup that I have. So let's actually get into this. I'm not gonna keep the video going. We're gonna keep it the same format where I stop it where I need to, only because I don't want to constantly keep going with commentary if I don't need to. I want to try to keep this as short as possible and just fill it with as much information as possible. So right now we're going to start off with the front and rear differentials, and we're just going to check the insides just to see if there is a difference between the front and the rear. As we know, in the RS43 Evo, there is a spring in the front, so that tells you that the front differential is slightly different. The cases are exactly the same. Everything is the same. The planetary and sun gears are the same besides that spring. So we're going to check if the RS42s have it. Right now in the manual, it doesn't show, but we're still going to pop these open. We still want to take a look inside, see if the gears are intact and not stripped out or chipping or missing anything in general. So let me get this open and I'll get back to you guys. All right, so now that we got these open, there's one thing we notice right away. There's not much grease in here, and if there is, it's very little. It's like they took a paintbrush and maybe brushed it on, but the vehicle is so old that everything is dried up to basically like just a thin layer of, I don't even know what, but it's like a thin layer of paste up there. But anyways, now that you have them open, you can spin your gears. You know, check them out both sides, front and rear. Just see if there's anything out of the ordinary, anything missing. So you do that to both sides, front, rear. Check them out, see what's going on in there. Now, if you fill this with grease, you might have some pressure retention. So when you go to spin these, and also they might be caked up, so you won't be able to see actually if they're broken or not. So just give them a nice little spin so you can check those out and have a good look at them. I'm gonna actually pull them out because I want to wipe them down. I'm gonna put a little bit of white lithium in here. It's all I have at the moment. I was recommended some marine grease, but I don't have access to that at the moment, so we're just gonna go with white lithium again. It's totally fine. It works perfect. So if that's all you have, just use it and you'll be okay. So just so you know, the sun gear in the back, there's 4 of those, and they're all 13 tooth. And then the planetary gears, there's 4 of those as well, and those are 10 tooth. Just in case if you want to know, a lot of the times when people do videos like this, they won't tell you, so you won't know what size sun or planetary gears you have. And then also this tensioner, I want to say, let me look at the manual quick. It's a 39 tooth, front and rear. So as I said before, they're interchangeable. You can put the front in the rear and the rear in the front, and that's not going to be a problem. And if you need a part number for this pulley, it's gonna be a, give me 1 second, computer went to sleep. It's gonna be A850a. So that's gonna be for front and rear, not for the whole assembly, just a plastic piece. And then this little ring in here is gonna be a A850e, and it's a M8 by 10 by 3.5 millimeter. It's not a bearing, it's just I want to say it's just like a spacer or something. I'm not sure exactly. The bearing rides on that, so you want to make sure you have that in play. And you can put some washers in here to, you know, take up some slack, but you don't want to put too many washers. And you want a little bit of lash in here when your planetary and sun gears go. You want a little bit of movement in here as they spin. As well, you're going to be putting these red O-rings in here, and in the manual they'll tell you how many to put in there. And as we put this together, I'm going to actually put the correct amount in the whole vehicle, so we'll go over that as well. And that'll also have the dog bone in here, which will create tension that'll take up this slack. So you don't really need washers if you feel like, you know, if you feel like you need there's no washers on the back side of your planetary gears, but they don't really ride on this plastic, so you shouldn't need them there. So you should be fine. As long as you grease this up well, you should be okay. This car is over 20 years old and looks like it had no grease in here at all. Let's just take a Q-tip and wipe it and see what it looks like. And you can see it's already coming out filthy. So I'm gonna clean this up and then get back to you guys. And as well, as you can see in here, I don't know if you can see that well. Let's see if yeah. It's caked up with dirt in there. So you want to clean those out. That way when you set your belt in here, your belt will be fully seated and it won't be above this ridge here. This ridge actually helps keep your belt in line. So make sure you have that together. There you go, my cat is jumping on the chair, so you see my setup jumping. Let me clean this up and then I'll get back to the video. All right, so don't forget to inspect your teeth as you're cleaning out your gears. As you can see, this one here is pretty bad compared to the rest. This must have been the pulley that the rocks get stuck in. Belt-driven cars get a lot of little pebbles stuck into them if you drive on a gravel road or something with a lot of little pebbles, as you can see here. And it's not both differentials. I'll show you this one real quick. You can see how clean this one is compared to, I'm guessing this one was in the rear. If I'm not mistaken, the rear is where they used to get caught the most. But as you can see, it looks pretty nice. And just to clean them up, you could just take a screwdriver or something and just, you know, scrape all the crud out of there and then get a toothbrush and brush everything down. So just if you want to know that this shaft here, the part number is A850, and then the pinion in here or the sun gear is A850a. You need 4 of these and 4 of those as well. And then these little gears in here are A850b, and then you need 4 of those as well. And if you need the shaft as well, it's going to be A850c. And then there is a washer. So I'm sorry that I'm, you know, pausing or whatever. I'm looking at the screen so I can, you know, let you guys know what's in there. Behind this pinion or sun gear, there's a washer, and the washer is going to be M7 by 15 times 0.1 millimeter, and the part number for that is A850D. So that way, if you need any of these parts and you don't know how to find them, or you don't know how many teeth that this sun gear or the pinion gears have, this video has it for you. So if if I'm not mistaken, those are all the parts that are in here. So let me clean this up and then we'll get on to the next part of the video. All right, so now after you clean everything up, you can start putting in your grease and, you know, figuring out what type of grease that you want. You only need enough to basically cover the gears and to be spread around your gears as they're in contact. So what I did was I basically just put a spot in each corner of the planetary and sun gear, and then I put a nice little bead around this sun gear here. And then as you go to make the pieces together, make sure you line everything up nice. You gotta make sure you line it up and your gears are meshed up the right way, and then you can get a nice little spin. Both sides, make sure you test them. And then you put your screws back in and you should be all done with your differentials. Like I said, depending on what type of grease you use, I'm using white lithium, so it's pretty light and it's pretty free, so it moves pretty easily. So I'm not gonna worry about that because there was literally no grease in here to begin with. And I believe that from factory, they only put a very little anyways. And even if they give you a specific weight, it's so little that it doesn't matter because it isn't gonna do much besides help with friction and heat. So depending on how much grease you put in here and the weight of your grease and, you know, what type of grease will affect how this differential reacts as far as locking up or, you know, giving more power to one wheel if it's slipping or whatnot. So just be mindful of what grease you put in here. You don't need a very thick grease in here, in my opinion. It all depends on what you're trying to do with the particular vehicle you have. So that's just my one little tip there. So just so you know, after you tighten everything up or whatnot, you make sure it's nice and evenly and flush pressed together. You keep giving yourself a little spin to make sure that everything's spinning freely. But not only do you just spin one, you grab both ends and you try to spin the actual wheel itself and make sure that it locks up. So that way you know that your diff is working properly. Make sure you do both ends. And if you spin them this way, they don't make that much noise. It all depends on how you spin them. If you spin one like this, you're gonna hear more of the gears contacting, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then, like I said, you spin them together, and as long as this wheel, this diff locks up, or this pulley locks up, you're good. All right, so here we go with the rear end. We're gonna be putting this together now. And before we actually get started putting it together, I'm gonna actually show you the inside of this part here. I'm not sure exactly what they call this here, but there's this ring here that your bearing rides on. And this ring actually is a tensioner for your belt. So if you need more tension in your belt, you can go up to 9. If you need less tension, you can go down to 1. The manual recommends you start at 5. I'm just gonna keep it at 5 and we're gonna go from there. And then these are gonna be your screws to lock in your arms. These are called screw shafts, and they're 3 by 40 millimeters. So I don't think you're gonna be able to find this exact one here. I'll give you the part number. It's Z599. And the only reason I'm giving you the part number here, that if your arms are out of alignment or your wheel looks a little bent, it could be due to this rod being bent here. So you might want to find one. So that's why I gave you the name of the rod itself, or what HPI calls it, which is called a screw shaft. So if you need one of those and you can't find the original, the size again is 3 by 40 millimeter. Then you can replace those if you need to, if you can find a replacement somewhere. So the arm just basically goes on. Note the direction of your arm. This here is going to be the back of your vehicle. So note the direction. This is actually the right arm here. And your screw is just going to go right through. Make sure you line them up. You push it right through. It's going to pop out the other side. And you just tighten it down. You don't need to crank this down because it just goes into the arm. So the moment it stops, that's basically it. And that's it for that. And you do the same thing to the other side, and you're all done with this part here. Oh, by the way, don't forget to check these bearings and replace them if need be. I already know that this side here is very gritty and needs to be replaced, and I have a bearing for that. But this one is glass smooth, so that one is gonna stay. All right, so if you wanted to get the bearing out of here, the ring is gonna come out as well. So just grab yourself a toothbrush or something. It'll fit right in the back, and it'll press into the bearing and just push the bearing right out. And then that's it for that. And just to put the new bearing in, all you do is grab it. I don't think it matters which side you use. And you just push it in, and that's it. You're all done. And now you have a glass smooth bearing in there. By the way, this is directional. So as you can see, that the bearing isn't flush. I don't know if you can tell, the bearing isn't flush on this side, but it is flush on that side. So you're going to pick your number that you're going to use. I'm looking through the screen, so I can't tell. And just pop it right back into place, and that is it. All right, so after you cleaned everything up, greased everything up, replaced the bearings you needed to replace, make sure you grab your belt. Make sure your belt is in good working order. This belt has a nasty crack here, but this is the only belt I have at the moment for the rear end of this vehicle. The rest of the belt seems okay for now, so we're gonna need to replace this as soon as possible. But for now, we're just gonna toss this in. So before you put this on the vehicle, you want to note the direction of this tensioner here. So it's basically just going to slide in to the right side. Put your belt on. You might need to slide it back out just to get the belt on. And then the left side goes over here. And that's basically how your assembly is going to go. And note the direction and the distance of the belt from the right side to the left side. And that's how it's going to sit on your vehicle. So let me grab the vehicle so we can toss it in, and you can see exactly how it's going to look. All right, so now that we have the chassis in view, we're going to try not to scrape it, but the rear end is going to sit here, and then it's going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4 screws. So I'm going to pop that on, and I'm going to show you how it looks. All right, so let's see if I can do this side on camera. So I already did the first side. So what I did was I poked the screws through, and then I threaded them onto the rear end. And you just do them till they're stopped, because they're going into plastic, and you don't want to over tighten them, and you'll have a bad day if you strip one of these screws out. So to pop this side on, you're basically gonna slide it through here. Remember to note your direction. Flip your vehicle. Line up your holes. Grab your screws. Thread them a little by hand. This side is a little off. Okay, got it. And grab your screwdriver and tighten. Remember to get them snug till they basically stop, and not to over tighten, because they're going into plastic. Whoops. Oh, that was nice. All right. Okay, knocked my light over. All right, so those are on. And if you have an arm that's a little stiff, you might want to take the rod out and give it a nice wipe down, put a little bit of grease on it. It's not necessary, but you know, that's up to you. You see how this one's a lot freer than this side, but still fine. Belt is on. Make sure your belt spins, your pulley's spinning freely. You don't want it binding up or anything. It's a little tough because you don't have the tension on it. When you get the front end, not the front end, but when you get the, I'm guessing the gearbox in, then you'll really be able to check your tension to see if you have anything binding up or anything, because you want to have this belt pretty tight as you spin it to check for any binds or anything. But that's it for the rear end. Next we'll go into the drivetrain and see how far, probably I don't know what's next. We'll go by the manual. Whatever the manual says to put in, that's how we'll go. So for now, let me get you a decent view. And that's how she's turning out for now. But we're gonna call it a day. I'm running out of memory. Plus it's getting late and I gotta get some rest. So you guys have a good one. Burn as much nitro as you can. I can't burn any at the moment, so burn some for me as well. And just go out and have fun. You know, check your vehicle before you go out. Don't wreck your vehicle. And just have fun, guys.